Hello, this is Weekend File on the NTA, and we are live in Abuja. Many thanks for joining us. Barely 1 month after the Ekiti governorship election, Osun State is here again with candidates from 15 political parties, including the incumbent Boyega Oyetola of the ruling All Progressives Congress (APC), vying for the seat. More than 1 million registered voters expectedly exercised their franchise across the 30 local government areas of the state. As we speak, results are tripping into the State Collation Center while counting is in progress. It is another litmus test for the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) ahead of the 2023 general elections. How far so far? Well, we shall be reaching out to Osun State for updates from our reporters. Our guests are Ezenwa Nwagu, Executive Director, Center for Electoral Reforms. He joins us from Oshobo. Also joining us in the studio is Victor Aluko, Director, Voter Education and Publicity, INEC. I am Kenan Ima Abodiken. The news first. President Muhammadu Buhari has promised to ensure that the prevailing security concerns in parts of the country are dealt with decisively, ruthlessly and mercilessly towards achieving sustainable peace, law and order. This was at the palace of the Emir of Katsina, Abdul Mumini Kabir Usman, during a courtesy visit. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has the details.
President Muhammadu Buhari was at the Emir's palace in the heart of Katsina to felicitate with the monarch over the successful celebration of this year's Feast of Sacrifice. The president commended the Emir for his continued support, guidance and encouragement so far, saying he does not take such for granted. His administration, he said, is not unmindful of the genuine public concerns, especially as regards to insecurity, and therefore will continue to do whatever it takes towards finding lasting solutions. The armed forces of Nigeria and other security services, he said, are under instruction to smoke out and eliminate all the bandits, terrorists and other criminal gangs tormenting and impoverishing the nation's citizens at will. He, however, said achieving this depends largely on the ability of the people to provide credible intelligence to the law enforcement agencies on the whereabouts of all those bent on destabilizing the country. Governor Aminu Bello Masari and the Emir of Katsina, Abdul Mumini Kabir Usman, acknowledged the genuine efforts by the president to effectively secure the country and make life better for all. They, however, identified sabotage by those desirous of getting rich quick at all costs, as well as injustice on the part of those in leadership positions as factors undermining efforts at achieving the desired peace enterprise in the country and called for a change of attitude. They appreciated the president for making the Katsina Teaching Hospital project a reality, but called for more attention to the Katsina Windmill as well as the Katsina-Kano highway projects. In the meantime, while President Buhari was still in Daura, the Emir Umar Faruk Umar authorized the inauguration of a formidable security guards responsible for securing more effectively the newly created Dumorkol district, the birthplace of the Nigerian leader. The president's nephew and Madamin Daura, Musa Haro, is the new district head, while Umar Ibrahim heads the team. President Muhammadu Buhari has since returned to Abuja after a 9-day visit to his ancestral home of Daura, the first in 12 months. Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Let's talk politics. The 2022 Osun governorship election took off to a seamless start in many parts of the state. Olabode Arewa has details of the exercise across the state.
Residents of Osun State delivered on their promise to come out and vote to elect the state's ombudsman for the next 4 years. Many towns, including Ikirun in a fellow local government area, witnessed an impressive turnout of voters. The visibly excited indigents had kind words for the election management body.
The voting today is tremendous. There's no more voter apathy. People have come out in large numbers to vote for candidates of their choice.
The gladiators, who are the candidates, were in their different localities to take a shot at the number one seat in Osun State.
I've gone around the entire city of Osun State. I've canvassed. People can see how many events people can relate to it. It's up to Osun people. I've made myself available.
Because people have turned out en masse, and until the election itself finishes, I can't say much now. But obviously, I've cast my votes, and it took everything about 10 minutes.
We can afford a situation where a lot of people will not be able to vote before the deadline of INEC. So other than that, I think it's okay.
It's peaceful where I am, and I have not heard of reports of violence anywhere. I came out, I voted, and you can see I'm still in the midst of the people. Nobody is attacking anybody.
That everything is calm, and we hope it's going to stay like that.
INET equipment and how the process is now.
Fantastic. I think INEC has improved.
A striking feature of the process is the participation of people living with disabilities, the elderly, as well as first-time voters. Operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency and the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission were observing proceedings to trap vote sellers, their patrons, and drug peddlers. Collation and declaration of results usually holds at the State Secretariat of INEC. In Osogbo, Olabode Arewa, NTA News.
We now quickly join Nnamdi Hodibo in Osogbo, the Osun State capital, for updates. Nnamdi, good evening to you there.
Good evening, good to see you.
How has it been so far?
Well, it's been a very long day. I'm hoping it will be a longer night. I'm hoping, since activities are moving to the state headquarters of the Independent National Electoral Commission, I hope that with news of results that have already begun to trickle in, that it would be a shorter night. Okay, maybe not as long as the day, but of course, you never can tell with these things. They have a wind and a spirit of their own. You don't know where the wind would blow, but of course, for a fact, we know now for a fact that results have already begun to trickle in. We know there are 3,763 polling units across the 30 local government areas of the state. As of the last time I checked, and I'm talking about the INEC electronic result portal, that was a couple of minutes ago, we had a little over 1,707 results coming in from polling units. But of course, I can't tell you for a fact if that has changed since the last time that I checked and now. But what do we expect, Kenneth? We expect that these results would begin to trickle in. Last we heard as well, there was some issues, electronics issue with the portal, maybe INEC server, but I heard also that there have since been corrected, and results are dropping rather fast. And let's just monitor the trend and see what happens. But can I very quickly, let me give you an idea of where I am. I am at the state headquarters, and I'm standing just in front of the media center where results would be collated. That is going to be the state collation center where we'll have the chief returning officer. But as I speak to you right now, the hall is empty. They're yet to arrive, but we've been here for some hours now since we shut down our studio at our studio at the NTA Osogbo station, and of course we had to come here, and we have a makeshift studio, and of course we would, in the course of the result collation, bring you blow-by-blow accounts of proceedings here, Kenneth.
Well, I'm sure it's going to be a very long night, considering the fact that it is usual with elections such as this one. But have there been issues that likely tried marring the entire process?
Well, not substantially, not by any account, not by anything we've heard. Of course, there were a few pockets of incidents. I mean, we heard about an individual that was apprehended by security agencies for alleged vote buying, and a couple of other reports, similar reports, as a matter of fact. Not so much. Well, I do not know of, aside that and a few others like I just said, substantially, it's been described by residents, officials, party officials that we interviewed. As a matter of fact, party agents that we also met on ground as largely, substantially peaceful, and credible exercise. But of course, this is an ongoing process. Opinions might begin to vary much later, but we're not preempting any of that. But for now, Kene, going by what we've heard, it's been a fairly peaceful, credible exercise, Kene.
We'd like to thank you, Nnamdi, and of course, we kept tabs with you along the line. Good luck to all of you.
Thank you very much, Kene.
All right, still talking politics. Ahead of the 2023 general election, the presidential candidate of the African Democratic Party, ADC, Dume B. Kachuku, has taken his consultation drive to the stakeholders of his party in the northwest part of the country. Expressing his readiness to work with all relevant groups and individuals, Kachuku says the northwest of the country is very significant in Nigeria's political space. The presidential candidate, who raised salient issues during the interactive session, took time to discuss the lingering ASU strike.
Visitors from the northwest, Awali, the current face-off between ASU and the federal government. We understand that we must start putting education knowledge ahead of every other thing. Our value system should be based on the right information, should be based on knowledge. The crisis we have in Nigeria, the things that divide us, won't divide us anymore if we have the right knowledge.
For the chairman of the party, Ralph Osun, the task ahead of the stakeholders is to ensure the party prevails in the 2023 presidential election. In view of the evolving security threats, the military is upscaling the skills of its officers and other security agencies in policy formulation and implementation. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Farouk Yahya, said this at the Nigerian Army Resource Center, Abuja. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa has details.
Different security challenges truncating lives and socio-economic activities in different parts of the country. These threats are complex and dynamic, requiring regular training of security agencies.
Over the years, the focus of Nigerian Army in the area of manpower capacity development has been centered on junior and mid-cadre officers. Nonetheless, the need to focus on very senior officers of the Nigerian Army was also observed to make it in tandem with the global best practices. It is in that drive and our effort to further develop capacity of very senior officers that this course was conceptualized and sustained by past leadership of the Nigerian Army.
This strategic management and policy study course for senior military, paramilitary and related civilians, organized by the Nigerian Army Resource Center, is meant to broaden their ability to develop diverse strategies in addressing evolving security challenges.
Apart from the little input from King's College London, these have been homegrown purely, and the results have been wonderful. Even before they finish today, the relationship has been wonderful, and that's the essence of the whole thing.
The military enjoined Nigerians to see the task of securing the country as a collective responsibility. From the Nigerian Army Resource Center in Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
As part of efforts to rid on those state of all forms of criminal elements, Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu has again distributed 50 fitted operational patrol vehicles to security agencies in the state. Handing over the vehicles, the governor said that deploying them would tackle a number of security challenges in the state. Abiola Ario reports.
Governor Akeredolu, who recalled the dastardly act by unknown gunmen in Osun June 5, noted that the vehicles will lessen mobility challenges being faced by security agencies across the state, especially during emergencies. While commending the synergy between the various security agencies in the state, the governor urged them to make judicious use of the vehicles.
Just one of those community support. I want to make a visit for the purpose for which it's meant.
Special advisor to the governor on security and commander of Amotekun Corps, Adetunji Adeleye, said the present administration has always placed premium on securing the lives and property of the people of the state, despite a lean purse.
That it's a deterrent to most of the security agencies' operations, which is transportation.
The 50 vehicles were distributed among the state police, the Department of Security Services, the Army, Civil Defense Corps, and the Amotekun Corps. In Akure, Abiola Rio, NTA News.
Gombe State government says it is determined to leverage on the comparative advantage in agriculture to unlock its industrial potentials in order to provide opportunities for enhancement of the agriculture value chain in the country. Governor Muhammadu Inuwaya highlighted this while flagging off the sales and distribution of fertilizer to farmers for the 2022 wet farming season. Nafisa Umar Garba reports.
The agrarian nature of Gombe State, with about 80% of its population engaged in agricultural activities according to research, is impacting on the people and the gross domestic income of the state. This marks the flag up of sales and distribution of 7,500 metric tons of assorted fertilizer procured for distribution to farmers at a subsidized rate for the 2022 wet farming season.
This demonstrates our commitment to supporting our farmers to boost productivity and improve their livelihoods by ensuring timely distribution of affordable fertilizer in fulfillment of our campaign promises.
With the constitution of Farmers Herders Conflict Resolution Committee and subsidized fertilizer, farmers in Gombe State are hopeful of bumper harvest this cropping season.
I have planted maize and soya beans. I will use the fertilizer to boost my farming.
The subsidized fertilizer price is appreciated and we thank the governor for that.
The fertilizer subsidy, says the Inwaya administration, is aimed at improving productivity, creating wealth, reducing poverty and guaranteeing national food security. Nafisa Umar Garba, NTA News.
Now, the National Population Commission, NPC, says the 2023 Population and Housing Census will not canvass questions on religion and ethnicity. A statement issued on Saturday by Dr. Isiaka Yahya, Director, Public Affairs, NPC, explained that the attention of the Commission has been drawn to a misleading WhatsApp message which claimed that the next Population and Housing Census will canvass questions on religion. The NPC also added that the misleading message alleged that there are some parts of the questionnaire where respondents are required to tick their religion. However, the Islamic religion has been divided into sects, while Christianity has not, and the objective, as alleged, is to show that Muslims are small in the country. The circulation of the message few days into the conduct of the current trial census fieldwork nationwide is deliberately timed to sow disaffection among the major religious groups in the country. For the avoidance of doubt, the 2023 census and the ongoing trial census, like previous censuses of 1991 and 2006, have no questions on religion and ethnicity, and the decision was reached after extensive consultation with stakeholders, taking into consideration the sensitive nature of these two issues in Nigeria. The NPC calls on all to disregard the fake news. Report from the Office of the Vice President says Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo is in the hospital for a surgical procedure on account of a recurrent pain in the leg, possibly sustained from an injury while playing squash. Media aide to the Vice President, Laulu Akonde, in his official Twitter handle, says doctors would give an update on the treatment later. Now, President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed sadness over the death of a veteran broadcaster, Alhaji Yusuf Katsina, describing him as a humble gentleman and a dedicated journalist. President Buhari recalls that Yusuf Katsina has served at Radio Nigeria and Deutsche Welle in Germany for decades before returning to Nigeria to join the NTA and thereafter leading the team to establish the Katsina State Broadcasting Service. Katsina belongs to the golden age of broadcasting in Nigeria, which was characterized by passion for the job and patriotism, the president notes. You're watching Weekend File on the NTA network service. Time for our first break. Do stay with us.
Tomorrow.
What are these people doing in our community?
We are from the National Population Commission. We are here to inform you and your people about the forthcoming trial census.
Why a trial census now when there will be a census in 2023?
Yes, it is true. There will be census in 2023. The trial census is to enable the National Population Commission to test all its equipment and other arrangements in preparation for the main census in 2023.
Where will this trial census be conducted?
The trial census will be conducted in selected local government areas, the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory.
When are we expecting your people in our community for this census?
The trial census, you mean?
Yes, trial census.
The trial census will be conducted from 11th July to 30th July 2022.
What do you want us to do for you and your people?
We are appealing to the people to cooperate with the enumerators and grant them access to building and housing unit in order to enumerate members of the household in your community. This message is brought to you by the National Population Commission.
It's your turn to make a difference. Are you an entrepreneur, developer, designer, problem solver, or a coding expert? Are you looking to create new digital economic solutions? Then let's design the future at the eNaira Hackathon. Theme: Africa's Gateway to a Digital Economy. Register at www.affcbnhack.com. Application closes July 21st, 2022. Terms and conditions apply. eNaira Hackathon is powered by the Central Bank of Nigeria and Africa FinTech Foundry, AFF.
Commercial, I recognize the fact that some youths of today indulge in drinking and use of drugs even before driving. Alcohol and drugs makes you dizzy, affects your sense of judgment and impair your vision. As a driver, you must stop consumption of alcohol and abuse of drugs to attain a qualitative life. Don't drive under the influence of drugs and alcohol. Obey road traffic rules and regulations.
Wake up the champion in your child. Give them energy to go further. Milo Active Go and the natural goodness of malt, milk, and cocoa helps wake up the champion in your child.
The National Broadcasting Commission has observed with concern the misuse of the airwaves to propagate incendiary materials by different groups in some broadcasting stations in recent times. While appreciating the need for educating, informing, and enlightening the public on issues bordering on our national development, the Commission wishes to seize this opportunity to advise broadcasters to be circumspect in the handling of news and current affairs programs by exhibiting the necessary professionalism. Consequently, the Commission implores broadcasters to advise guests and/or analysts on their platforms not to polarize the citizenry with divisive rhetorics in driving home their points. Ensure that every news and current affairs program conforms with the provision of the Nigeria Broadcasting Code. Take their social responsibility requirements seriously. Therefore, the Commission reminds broadcasters to be guided by the provisions of the Nigeria Broadcasting Code, especially the underlisted sections 5.3.3b. The broadcasters shall, in using political materials for news and current affairs programs, avoid hate speech, inflammatory, derogatory, and divisive remarks or allusions. 5.4.1f. The broadcaster shall not transmit divisive material that may threaten or compromise the indivisibility and indissolubility indissolubility of Nigeria as a sovereign state. 5.5.6. The broadcaster shall have a delay mechanism to guard against possible undesirable content. Please note that every broadcast station is responsible for the content it transmits and shall be held liable for any content in violation of the Nigeria Broadcasting Code. Be advised. Signed, Malam Balarebe Shehu Ilela, Director General, Announcer.
Welcome back to Weekend File. Vote buying is one of the emerging challenges threatening the democratic process in Nigeria. With vote buying now more pronounced than ever before, what are the measures put in place to discourage vote buying by politicians and the role of security agencies in arresting the situation during the governorship election? Femi Afariogun finds out in this report.
The successful conduct of Ekiti governorship election, INEC received accolades from within and outside the country. However, unlike the past when elections were fraught with irregularities like ballot snatching and violent disruption of the election process, a major threat has been vote buying before and during election proper. Some electorates willingly surrendered their PVCs for a fee, which also generated various slogans. The ugly trend called for a serious concern.
Once we saw the commitment in Ekiti, there has not been any report that we had received that indicated police had arrested or prosecuted anybody for that was engaged in doing vote buying. What we hope to see is that people will be apprehended, and then police will also make example with some of the erring. Whoever will be the culprit in this vote buying in Osun State.
Build up to Osun governorship election, INEC embarked on series of advocacy to discourage vote buying, particularly the electorate in line with the electoral law.
While we continue to work with the security and anti-corruption agencies to confront this challenge, our effort will be given a boost by the establishment of the Electoral Offences Commission and Tribunal. Happily, the Electoral Offences Commission and Tribunal Bill is under consideration by the National Assembly. INEC supports this initiative and appeals to the National Assembly for a speedy conclusion and passage of the bill into law.
For enforcement of the law against vote buying, the security agencies would not tolerate what happened in Ekiti in June to repeat itself.
We will leave no stone unturned to ensure that those who are involved in buying and selling of votes are brought to book. We will stop at nothing to fish them out wherever they are, arrest them and process them through the courts.
Stakeholders are calling for a concerted effort to reduce monetization of the country's partisan politics and other forms of vote buying inducement by politicians. Femi Afariogun, NTA News.
Let's start the introduction of our guests on Weekend File tonight from Abuja, where we have Victor Aluko, Director of Voter Education and Publicity. Hi, Nick, you're welcome to Weekend File.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And quickly, in Oshobo, we do have Ezenwa Nwagu, Chairman, Partners for Electoral Reform. Ezenwa, good to have you join us tonight. All right, so let's come back to Victor here. Some polling units in Osun State were relocated for the purpose of this election. Can you tell us more about that?
Well, just a few were properly located to ensure that voters were able to access them and are able to vote without any problems. You remember that we created additional polling units across the country not long ago, and so we had to properly locate the new polling units in Osun State to ensure that voters are able to access them and they're able to vote. That's just the way it is. The commitment of the Commission is all about making it easier for voters to be able to exercise their franchise. And that's why, in elections, the relationship between location of polling units and the ability of voters to vote is quite important. And that's part of the whole procedures and processes that the Commission is always interested in. Our interest is about procedures, the processes that makes it easy for voters to vote. In a democracy, voters are the king.
All right, having done that in the Osun experience, would you say that movement really worked?
It worked. It's been a good day for us as a commission. It's been a good day for the country, for the people of Osun State. It's been a good day for all our stakeholders. It's been a successful election as far as we're concerned. And we're just waiting for the process to end. That is the collation of the whole result and the declaration of a winner, which should happen not long from now. The Commission promised that within 24 hours we should be able to complete the process, and I believe we should be able to do that.
All right, a lot of people are worried about one particular thing. In fact, the report we saw earlier mentioned it. It's all about vote buying and selling. Now, INEC doesn't like it. The electorates don't want it, but it's happening.
Nobody likes it. It's become a societal problem for us as a country, and I believe someday it will fizzle out. But for the Commission, what the Commission has done is to look at Section 46 of the Electoral 2022 and to see how we strike a balance between placing the ballot box in full view of all present and also cubicle to make sure that people are able to vote in secret, because you must vote in secret and drop your ballot in the ballot box in full view of all present. So people tend to take advantage of this, and we banned all photographic devices from the cubicle so that nobody will be able to photograph our ballot papers. We've done our best as a commission, and we had a series of discussions with the security agencies, with the anti-corruption agencies, and I can say for the commission, we're doing our best. We are so full of action election day, trying to attend to voters. You see, we have a presiding officer and 3 assistant presiding officers, all trying to attend to hundreds of voters. So it's not easy for us to, at the same time, doing the job of security agencies. But we believe the security agencies are also trying their best. And in future elections, they will still live up to their responsibilities more than that, so that they can arrest those who are behind all this. They are not spirits, they're human beings.
They're human beings.
So they can arrest them and possibly prosecute them. And maybe someday, we also have the Election Offences Commission, and that they'll be able to focus on prosecuting all offenders. When people are arrested and prosecuted, that would be a way we can stop all this.
Yeah. Of course, Ezenwa Wago is still in Oshobo. Let's quickly talk with you, Mr. Wago, Chairman Partners for Electoral Reform. Of course, you saw the proceedings, firsthand all day today in Oshobo and indeed some other parts of the state. What would you want to tell us about the level of maturity that attended the electoral process in Osun State today?
Well, thank you very much for having me. I think I want to join my brother, Mr. Aluko, in the bragging rights that I saw him display in the studio. The process, in spite of whatever challenges there are, we have a better election than we actually even expected, because Osun State has 30 local governments when you compare to Ekiti with 16 local governments. So we expected that things will be a little slow, but by 9:30 a.m., according to Yaga statistics by Yaga, 96% of the polling units were up and running, and that's a cheery news. The authentication and verification process also went on smoothly. That's the accreditation process, and voting went on smoothly. But one beautiful thing that has happened in this election is that the call for peaceful election has taken root. I went to the women situation room where they are tracking violence on women, and there are no on the dashboard for critical incidents. There was not even one critical incident. That in terms of violence. That's kudos also for, first of all, the security provisioning that has followed this election. So we are at the point now where we are looking to result collation and all of that. That means in reality that the bigger part of the challenge for election management has gone very well, and is kudos to INEC.
What do you think we should do as a nation to sustain what we're seeing right now?
Is to continue to hold INEC accountable, and yes, I always say that if you had followed the trajectory of election administration in the country, the graph has always gone up and down. It's looking up now, but we need to put their leg on the fire to ensure that they don't let off and do what is right. The other stakeholders, the security agencies also will continue to provide security in a way that is professional, in a way that is impartial, in a way that gives citizens confidence that they can come out and vote and will not be hurt. For the politicians that have kept on saying that we over-respect them, the challenge of elections is because we are not calling out the politicians the way we should. The issue of vote buying that we've been hammering since Ondo Ondo elections and up till now is because the politicians do not come into conversations on electoral reforms. They are generally absent when it comes to any conversation that has to do with electoral reforms.
Ezenwa Wagu there in Oshobo speaking to us on the elections in Oshobo. Of course, we will rejoin him as we progress. Just before the break, you heard your colleague, so to speak, Ezenwa there speaking, and he was giving kudos to INEC for really, stepping up the game in ensuring that these things, begin to play out normally. And he said that INEC must sustain it. He was trying to tell you as a commission on certain ways to go about it. But coming from you, what are those things that we should look at as we move forward?
Well, I want to say that we can conclude that for now, INEC has succeeded in restoring credibility to the electoral process in this country. And the challenge is to sustain that credibility in the electoral process. And as we're moving towards 2023, the Commission will not rest on its laurels. The Commission will continue to train its staff, will continue to review its activities nationwide, will continue to ensure that we do the things that are necessary for us to behave like advanced democracies. We are the leading electoral body in Africa, and that's a fact. And so we must do the things that leaders do, and that is to ensure that our processes become the best. Ekiti was good, Osun now has been better, and 2023 should be the best.
You're watching Weekend File on the NTA. Let's go on another break. Do stay.
Tomorrow.
is fuel that fires up our soul. Today, African music has a dominant place on the world map. This massive music movement creating waves across the globe.
Have seen the evolution and the growth of this industry.
But every movement starts with a story, and the best place to start any story is at the very beginning.
There's a primordial energy that can only have come from Africa.
Motlalo, Nigeria are the 9th champions in this competition.
The 12th edition of the Africa Women's Cup of Nations is here with 12 teams including reigning champions and 9-time winners, Super Falcons of Nigeria, all in contention from July 2 to 23 in Rabat, Morocco. You can catch all the actions live on the NTA network service and NTA Sports 24, channel 270 on StarTimes, 434 on StarSat and 731 on Free TV. Come, join us to promote another championship round by the Super Falcons. For your advert placement, please call Hawa on 0803 312 1022. Africa Women's Cup of Nations, Rabat 2022. Game on!
Have your PVC ready. Conduct yourselves orderly. Join the queue. Cast your vote secretly. Thumbprint correctly. Do not waste your vote. Do not sell your vote. Secure your future. If you sell your vote, you have sold good roads, electricity, water, education, good health care, etc. Be part of nation building. Cast your vote for honest candidates. Shun electoral violence. You could lose your life for nothing, for nothing, for nothing. This message is from the National Orientation Agency.
Thanks for staying with us on Weekend File as we rejoin Oshobo, where Ezenwa Nwago is still sitting. Mr. Ezenwa Nwago, please let's get your assessment of the alleged vote buying and selling in the process today.
The pattern of the current activity is with a lot of secrecy. The brazen act of buying the votes around the precincts of the voting area is taking the backstage. Politicians are devising new ways of doing that. Some say they are even giving promissory notes and giving voters tags and the rest of it. But what is playing is that there is a collaboration between the sellers and the buyers in a way that you need to look very carefully to be able to even discover that is playing. And so we need to have much more conversation with the politicians that this vote buying is a delegitimizing activity in terms of when you win elections, you can't proudly say I won. You may be saying I purchased the victory. And for the voters and for those who sell their votes, it dehumanizes and devalues them as citizens, because at the end of the day, you can't hold government accountable. But overall, it's like I've said earlier in the morning in your studio here, I said there is a thinking around different stakeholders where we deodorize crime, where we don't see crimes committed during election as crimes. Because we keep talking about Electoral Offences Commission as if bribery is not in our law already, and what should be done to those who bribe is not in our law. So the security agencies and the collaboration that we expect to see in the interagency consultative election security should begin to think now, because this is the prevailing challenge that we have. At the end of the day, it used to be ballot box snatching, it used to be violence during elections. All that is receding. This hydra-headed challenge that we face, we need to get the thinking cap and work around how we can begin to deal with the challenge. It came from Ondo, Diboko Sebe. After the Diboko Sebe, it came into Ekiti, where people take money to make soup and all of those things. At the end of the day, how much is the monies that we are talking about? If you commit this crime, and even if you get away with it, there is a consequence. The consequence may be that at the end of the day, those who paid you will say that they have settled you for the 4 years.
In other words, while one may not majorly lay blames on the doorstep of the politicians themselves who want power at all costs, because that's, of course, why votes might be sold and bought. What about those who agree? The electors themselves now. Shouldn't there be some sort of serious enlightenment campaign for them to understand that practice or trend wouldn't help us at all?
I've just started the advocacy right here, because I'm talking about the consequences. That if at the end of the day, the electorates will suffer, and they will suffer for the 4 years because for the morsel of porridge, they sold literally what you can call their birthright. So it has a dual consequence for both the buyer and the seller. But why I was saying that the different stakeholders, there has to be a multi-stakeholder approach to dealing with the challenge, because Professor Mahmood told us at the early stage of his coming to the commission that he was going to make sure that nobody will win election in INEC, that the place to win elections will be at the polling unit. Perhaps immediately he made that statement, the politicians began to attack the electorates with inducement and all sorts of things. Now that is the challenge that we face, voter education is important, but we need to also see whether we can begin to inflict traditional and moral authority on this challenge. Bring in the traditional rulers, bring in the church and mosque leaders to understand the consequences of this very, very dangerous trade that is going on. And at the end of the day, perhaps when we start talking about it, just like ballot box snatching, just like the issue of violence in elections, we may see or find a middle way or a way to even eradicate the challenge completely. But it is something that does not augur well for our politics. It does not augur well for democratic growth and improvement. It does not augur well for our country. It diminishes the value of the citizens, and delegitimizes victory in elections.
Thank you, Ezen Nwago, for speaking to us from Osogbo tonight on Weekend File. Thanks indeed, and good luck to all of you.
I appreciate it.
That was Ezen Nwago, Chairman Partners for Electoral Reform, speaking tonight on Weekend File from Osogbo. And of course, we still have Victor Aluko, Director of Voter Education and Publicity, INEC. Now, perhaps the success that we have seen in Ekiti and Osogbo this time around has to do with the fact that the electors themselves didn't just go to register for their PVCs, they equally went back, collected them, and are now using them. But then the 2023 general elections is still looming around. What more would you want to let the electors know, especially for those of them who want it otherwise and not looking the way others have done it, at least from Ondo and Ekiti? We've seen people take the issue of PVC quite seriously.
Yes, the commissioner will be talking to all voters. That is, the existing voters and those who intend to become voters. That is, if you already have your PVC, keep them safely. Don't throw them away. Don't let them get spoiled, so that you'll be able to vote on election day in 2023. If you have not registered, the commission has extended the terminal date for the current CVR, the current voter registration exercise, continuous voter registration exercise, to the end of this month, July 31st. On July 31st, the commission will suspend the continuous voter registration finally ahead of the 2023 election. And if you have not registered, it's good to register. Apart from registering, you also make sure you collect your voter's card when the commission produces them and releases them to the public. And apart from collecting, You don't just collect and keep the cards in your box at home. You also come out on election day and vote. So there's a good relationship between registering to vote and voting on election day. We are telling Nigerians that the system has become foolproof. As people can see now, votes are counting. I mean, your votes will count, and the will of the people will prevail. So people should have confidence in the electoral management body, in INEC. Trust the process. Have confidence in INEC. Register to vote if you have not registered. If you have registered, keep your voters card safely. On election day, come out, vote for the candidates of your choice. Trust that INEC will manage the process efficiently, patriotically, and effectively. And whoever wins any election, INEC will declare. We're not interested in whoever wins. The Commission is interested in transparency, credibility, and efficiency of the process.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Victor Aluko, Director, Voter Education and Publicity, INEC. Of course, you're still watching Weekend File. Time for one more break.
Motlalo, Nigeria are the 9th champions in this competition.
The 12th edition of the Africa Women's Cup of Nations is here with 12 teams including reigning champions and 9-time winners, Super Falcons of Nigeria, all in contention from July 2 to 23 in Rabat, Morocco. You can catch all the actions live on the NTA network service and NTA Sports 24, channel 270 on StarTimes, 434 on StarSat and 731 on Free TV. Come, join us to promote another championship run by the Super Falcons. For your advert placement, please call Hawa on 0803 312 1022. Africa Women's Cup of Nations, Rabat 2022. Game on.
The ever-busy ancient city of Onitsha is a commercial hub with millions of commuters seamlessly linking other states daily for business, leisure, and other purposes. To upscale its road network, the construction of a 1.6-kilometer-long second Niger bridge, including a 10.3-kilometer highway furnished with other infrastructure, has been in motion by the federal government. This project will ease congestion on the existing 56-year-old Onitsha bridge and boost the economic capacity of the state as it easily connects to other parts of the country. The completion of the world-class second Niger bridge Onitsha will be one of the many proud moments of the state, its people, Nigerians, and foreign investors. Onitsha, which hosts the largest market in Africa, is geared up to boast of an impressive road network. Once again, these moments are made alive by the federal government, and it is deserving of all the applause.
With gratitude to God for a life well spent, we wish to announce the passing to glory of our daughter, mother, sister, and aunt, Mrs. Josephine Ifeyinwa Bongos Ikwe, whose demise occurred on 30th June 2022 at the age of 73. The funeral arrangements will be announced by the family. Announcer Bongos Ikwe, husband for the family.
It's time now for Sports Update.
On the African Cycling Championship, South Africa has continued to show class as its cyclists remain top of the medal table at the ongoing African Cycling Championship track holding in Abuja. The country garnered 5 gold, 2 silver and 3 bronze medals in day 2 to increase their medals haul to 21, followed closely by Egypt in second position with a total of 15 medals. Host Team Nigeria won its first gold in the women's sprint junior to bring its medal haul to 7, comprising 2 gold, 3 silver and 2 bronze medals. 13 countries are participating in the African Cycling Championship. In football, the Nigerian Professional Football League 2021-2022 season will end on Sunday, with all the matches played simultaneously across the country. Abia Royals will host Lobby Stars, Dakar welcomes Sunshine Stars, Rangers takes on Aqua United, Heartland faces Kwara United, Kano Pillars tackles Shooting Stars, MFM meets Nasarawa United, Plateau United hosts Eyimba, Remo against Niger Tornadoes, champions Rivers United takes on Gombe United. To the World Athletics Championship, Team Nigeria made it into the finals of 2 events at the ongoing World Athletics Championship in Oregon, USA. The mixed relay team made it to the finals but finished in 6th position. There was something to cheer for Nigeria in the men's 100 meters event, where 2 out of the country's 3 entrants made it to the semi-finals, Raymond Ekevo and Nigeria's fastest man, Favor Ashe. The World Athletics Council has announced that Tokyo, capital of Japan, will host the 2025 World Athletics Championship. The 2025 World Athletics Championship will see the sport's biggest stars return to Tokyo Olympic Stadium, the venue for last year's Olympic Games. With sports update, Gift George, NTA News.
And a quick check on the weather for Sunday.
Once more, we have good prospects of rains for Sunday. There are prospects of thunderstorms over the north and the central states, a region where we reported high rainfall amounts within the last few days. And so the rains expected for Sunday will increase the chances of flash flooding, especially over areas with the tributaries of the Benue and Niger River. Down south, we have prospects of rains to the inland and the coastal parts of the country. These rains could pose a challenge to worshippers trying to get to their various places of worship